People think nothing bad ever happens in small towns. These stories prove that's not true. This happened last September. I left my apartment early in the morning, just after dawn. The sky was heavy with low, gray clouds. The air felt cold and damp, the kind of morning where the sun never really shows itself. I was on my way to a job interview, a high-paying position, a new firm, a new city, a chance to reset my entire life. I wanted extra time, so I left earlier than necessary, driving alone through quiet, half-awake roads. The weather stayed gloomy as I drove. The light felt flat, colorless. About 2 hours in, my GPS suddenly recalculated. It offered a faster route. I clicked accept without thinking. The road narrowed. The trees grew closer. After a while, I realized I hadn't seen a single car. The overcast sky darkened beneath the branches. It felt later than it was. The cell signal dropped to 1 bar, then nothing. The last thing my screen showed, before freezing, was a name I had never heard before. Dudley Town. The town appeared out of nowhere. Old houses, overgrown yards. No movement, no sound, not even birds. The air felt thick, still, like the place had not fully woken up, or never did. I slowed down, rolled through what looked like a small main street. Then I stopped, near a building that might have once been a school. I turned the engine off. Just for a moment, I told myself I was only tired, that the early morning and the long drive were playing tricks on me. When I tried to start the car again, the engine refused. No click, no sound, just dead. I stepped out and opened the hood, pretending I might somehow know what to do. I stared at the engine, but nothing made sense. Wires, metal, shadows, nothing that told me what was wrong. So I looked around, hoping to see someone, anyone. But the street was empty, still. I had this sharp feeling that I was being watched, like eyes from the windows of the building beside me, hidden in the dark inside. My stomach twisted. I got back into the driver's seat. Quickly. I tried again, then again, turning the key. Nothing. That was when I saw it. A shape in the distance. A person, slowly walking down the road toward me. It was a man. His steps were uneven, like he was dragging one leg. His posture was wrong, head tilted, shoulders sunken. At first, I felt relief. Maybe he lived here. Maybe he could help. But as he got closer, that feeling disappeared. Because his face, when I finally saw it, was pale, almost gray. His eyes were unfocused, like he wasn't fully aware of where he was, or who he was looking at. His clothes were dirty, like he had been wearing them for days, maybe weeks. He stopped a few feet from my hood, and he stared. He didn't ask if I was okay. He didn't speak. He didn't move. He just watched, like he was waiting for something. I spoke through the window. "Do you know where the nearest highway is?" He didn't react. His mouth opened slightly, but no words came out. Only a low sound. almost like breathing through pain. Something inside me screamed that I needed to leave. Even if the car was dead, I had to try one more time. I locked the doors, turned the key again. The engine coughed, then sputtered, then turned. I didn't think. I pressed the gas and drove. In the rearview mirror, I saw him, still standing in the same spot. His head turned slowly, following my car until the road curved, and I lost sight of him. Eventually, I reached a paved road, then a sign I recognized, then life. Cars, people, noise. I arrived at the interview 2 hours late. Shaking, I told them I got lost. One of the recruiters laughed and said, "Lost where? The woods? Just don't end up in Dudleytown. Nobody goes there anymore." I didn't laugh. I didn't take the job. And sometimes, when I think about that moment under the hood, I wonder if I hadn't looked up, if I hadn't seen him coming, if I had stayed outside the car just a few seconds longer, would I still be here? I don't remember exactly when we left the main road. I only remember that it didn't feel important at the time. My friend and I were driving through Pennsylvania, heading towards Centralia. It was an ordinary drive, windows slightly open, radio low. We were talking, casually, not really paying attention to the road. Then, the sound beneath the tires changed. I noticed it before I thought about it. Pavement turned to gravel. I mentioned it. My friend acknowledged it. Neither of us checked a map. It didn't feel necessary. The road climbed slowly, winding up the side of a wooded mountain. Trees lined both sides, close enough that the light felt filtered. Not dark, just muted. No houses, no signs, no other cars. We kept going. The conversation faded on its own. Not suddenly. It just ended, leaving only the sound of gravel and the engine. Eventually, the road narrowed enough that turning around didn't seem simple anymore. So we continued, expecting it to open back up. Instead, it ended. At the edge of a small clearing stood an old stone well. Next to it, a plaque on a metal stand. It was a memorial dedicated to firefighters. It was clean, maintained. Someone had been there recently. That detail didn't match the rest of the place. While I leaned in to read the names, my friend stayed still. When I turned around, I saw he was looking past the memorial. There was a house in the trees behind it. A small wooden cottage, set back just far enough to blend into the forest. No lights, no visible path leading to it. At first, it looked empty. Then I noticed the trees around it. Things were hanging from them. Not grouped together, spread out, across a wide area. Objects hanging from branches, tied to trunks, fixed to metal poles in the ground. Old stuffed animals, sun-bleached, stiff. Plastic lawn decorations, cracked, discolored. A lawn chair, hanging at an angle. Wooden pigs painted pink, attached to trees, with duct tape and extension cords. Some items were nailed directly into the bark. It didn't feel random. It felt placed. That's when I noticed the front door. It wasn't closed. It moved slightly, back and forth, just enough to catch my attention. A faint creak, silence, then another creak. There wasn't much wind. I couldn't see inside the house. No movement, no voices. Just the door, gently rocking on its hinges. Standing there began to feel intrusive, like we had arrived somewhere private, without realizing it. Then, there was another sound. A brief, metallic noise, somewhere behind the house. Dull, not sudden, easy to miss. My friend stepped back. I followed without saying anything. As we turned toward the car, I noticed the ground near the well. Footprints. Clear in the dirt. Fresh. Not ours. They came from the direction of the house and stopped close to where we had been standing. We got into the car quietly. The engine stalled once before starting. Then we pulled away. As we drove back down the gravel road, neither of us spoke. I glanced into the rearview mirror. Between the trees, farther back on the road, I thought I saw a figure. A woman, just standing there. I looked again. The road was empty. A few seconds later, I checked the mirror again. This time, the shape was closer. Still indistinct, still motionless. I didn't say anything. Neither did my friend. We continued driving. The mirror caught it once or twice more, never clearly, never long enough to describe. Just the impression of a female silhouette, appearing between the trees, then gone. When we reached pavement, it stopped. Later that night, I tried to trace where we had gone. Maps, satellite images, roads near Centralia. I could find the town. I could find the surrounding area. But I couldn't find that road. I don't think about it often. Only sometimes, when I check the rearview mirror and feel the urge to look twice. I went to college in a town so quiet that silence felt permanent. But every October, something changed. People lowered their voices. Jokes stopped halfway through. And one name always resurfaced. Not a person living there. A girl who was supposed to be gone. Mary Swope. And the place where she was last seen. Swope Hall. Swope Hall never felt like student housing. It felt sealed. Each room was meant for a single occupant. No roommates. No shared space. One student. One bed. Total isolation. Large sections of the dorm stayed dark year-round. The lights were off. The doors unopened. The third floor was different. People said the air shifted there. That sound traveled strangely. That time felt slower. And no matter how many students passed through that building, room 305 was almost always empty. Before the college existed, This land belonged to the Swope family. Wealthy, respected, untouchable. They had 2 children, a son and a daughter named Mary. No one agrees on what went wrong with her. Some say illness, some say poisoning, some say something followed her into that house. What everyone agrees on is that Mary changed. Her moods became violent, her thoughts fractured, and her family stopped letting her be seen. They locked her in an upstairs room, fed her through the door, avoided her gaze, pretended she wasn't there. Mary spent her days alone, listening to footsteps downstairs, hearing laughter she wasn't allowed to join. Until one night, she opened the window. No one knows if she jumped or if something pushed her, but she fell from that room and never stood up again. After that night, the Swope family left town without explanation. The house remained empty, watching. Years later, the house was torn down, but the grounds stayed. They built Swope Hall on that foundation, layered brick over memory, concrete over grief. They named it after the family, but they didn't name it after Mary. Students say the 3rd floor breathes. Cold air moves past your neck. When the windows are sealed, doors close on their own. Slowly, deliberately. Some claim they've seen her, a young girl in an old nightgown, sitting in corners, facing the wall, never looking directly at you. Others hear whispers, not words, not sentences, just the sound of someone trying to remember how to speak. Fire alarms have gone off without reason. Rooms refuse to stay occupied, and people leave the 3rd floor with the feeling that something followed them down the stairs. They say Mary Swope was only a story, that students made her up, that fear filled in the gaps. But stories don't make buildings feel alive, and empty rooms don't stay empty unless something else is already there. Mary may not be in the records, but she never left Swope Hall. She's still on the 3rd floor, waiting for someone to open the door she was never allowed to walk through.